Why is geographic knowledge critical for the future? Looking more holistically at the planet from the multiple perspectives a geographer sees enables students to think critically about the spatial organization of the world in which they live. Students will begin to see the connections and implications of their actions through the decisions they make. Why should I recycle? Who benefits if I recycle? Why should I care that the desert is being raised for development? It's only a desert after all. How do I decide how I should vote on a new sewage treatment plant in my community, or a new school to replace the old one, or on social services for the senior citizens in my community? How do I weigh and balance all of these vital community needs? To make good, solid decisions that not only benefit you, but also your community, your state, your country, and the planet, relies a great deal on how you can piece together geographic information to understand the merits and benefits of your choices. If we make decisions using the knowledge and judgment of our informed geographic mind, we will seek answers to the questions about the many geographic issues discussed in this unit. We will know where to find relevant information. We will know how to evaluate it and analyze it, and then represent it verbally and graphically. In this slide, we see two local Arizona issues. In the upper left-hand corner, we see a picture of solar panels in Arizona. Will the trend in Arizona construction lean toward solar energy? Will solar energy gain ground in Arizona with both consumers and producers? On the bottom of this slide, we see two images about immigration, a big topic in Arizona. One of them has protesters saying stop illegal immigration, and the other says humanitarian aid is never a crime. Both valid perspectives. We have a huge immigration debate in Arizona, and nationally and internationally. It's very controversial, and yet there are several perspectives we can look at. An economic perspective, a political perspective, and a humanitarian perspective, and perhaps others as well. What do you think on all these issues based on multiple perspectives, many ways of seeing things? It is the mission of the Bureau of Air Quality Planning to protect and enhance the environment in order to sustain healthy ecosystems and contribute to a vibrant economy. Our mission is accomplished through reasonable, fair, and consistent implementation of state and federal air quality rules and regulations, with emphasis on objective and impartial responsiveness to the needs of a growing population and industrial base. This is the mission statement of the Bureau of Air Quality Planning in Nevada. Building on the information and knowledge a geographer has gained by seeing the interconnections and patterns, she or he may ask these questions. What are the benefits of clean air? Who benefits from having clean air? And perhaps most importantly, how can we think differently in our discussions that revolve around economics, energy, and clean air? How do we apply geography to interpret the present and plan for the future? The practical applications of geography will help students prepare for a life as informed and active citizens of their local, national, and international communities. The better informed a resident of a community is about the trade-offs and the benefits and drawbacks and possible consequences of a community's actions, the better her or his decision will be. So often we hear only a sound bite of news, or news based on solely gut reactions, and we form an opinion that is grounded on very little real information, making us move toward decisions based more on emotions than on logic. However, geographers think differently. We try to look at whole pictures. For example, through its ecological emphasis, geography enables students to comprehend physical processes and patterns on Earth's surface. We look at ecosystems and how they evolve and change, and how their change can be accelerated by human activity. Geographers look at physical and cultural interconnections between local and global environments. And also geographers look at the impact of people, both positive and negative, on the physical environment. In this slide, we see two images. In the image in the upper right, we see how air pollution from both natural and human-induced sources can affect our lungs. So how does air pollution affect individuals? Studies have shown links between pollution and health effects. Increases in air pollution have been linked to decreases in lung function and also to increases in heart attacks. According to the EPA Air Quality Index, high levels of air pollution directly affect people with asthma and other types of respiratory, lung, or heart disease. Air quality has improved in the last 20 years because of higher standards of emissions and legislation and better technologies. However, urban areas still pose a risk for high air pollution. Children and the elderly are the most vulnerable demographic. In the lower left-hand corner, we see another image. This image is from the New Mexico Environment Department Air Quality Bureau. The Bureau says that they know that the citizens of New Mexico value the clarity and quality of the air that they breathe. They say that there are many opportunities for public comments on rules and regulatory actions. The Air Quality Bureau of New Mexico printed a fact sheet. This fact sheet includes information on where rules and regulations come from for the state of New Mexico, who approves the rules and regulations, how can you as a citizen create or change air quality rules and regulations, and how can the public participate in regulation development. So we can ask, where does air pollution come from? How does it affect me? And more importantly, what can we do about it? We can answer these questions a whole lot better if we know where we've come from and where we want to go. This slide talks about population and urbanization. An example of the utility of a good, solid geographic understanding or perspective is by looking at population growth and the decline of the American farmer and early and present growth of cities and urban areas in America. And not only in the United States, but actually all over the world. Farms and farm families remain powerful symbols in the American culture, despite the long-term decline in their numbers. The number of farms fell dramatically after its peak of nearly 7 million in 1935, with most of the decline occurring between the 1940s and 1960s. On the other hand, while it varies from place to place, the world's population is now over 50% urban. In the U.S., the rural-urban composition is about 25% rural and 75% urban. And although the U.S. was largely founded on the concept of the small family farm, the percentage of farmers has declined dramatically to only about 2 to 3% of the U.S. population. So we might ask some of the following questions about this issue. How did we evolve over time from a country of farmers to a largely urban-based population? Or, how has the land cover and land use changed over time? How has technology served to facilitate the transformation? How will technologies be used in the future to move towards sustainability? In this slide, we see the intersection between population and urbanization and agriculture. A U.S. population that is primarily urban, yet somehow it is tied to the land. What can a student of geography, of demography, of urban planning, of sustainable agriculture make of these images? These are all topics that well-rounded students of geography will be able to understand through multiple lenses. This slide talks about planning for the future, ordinary citizens, professionals, and leaders. With a well-rounded geographic knowledge base, more questions that we might look to for the future could be: how can we build an efficient transportation system to accommodate our growing population, and yet not subject this valley of the sun that we live in to become a bowl of toxic gases, chemicals, and particulate matter? In Arizona, we might also ask, how do we allocate and use the water that is available to us wisely and fairly, so that we can all enjoy a high quality of life and still have water for future generations? We also need to ask, how do we resurrect neighborhoods that have fallen into disrepair? And we need to ask, how do we construct houses and buildings with more environmental efficiency features, like harvesting rainwater, capturing the sun's energy, or using materials that keep the 100+ temperatures at bay? Also in Arizona, we need to ask, how do we make sure our elderly population is well taken care of? In Arizona, we have a higher percentage of senior citizens than most of the rest of this country. If we are ordinary citizens, which essentially we all are, we certainly have a stake in what shape our town, city, and nation take. What's our role? If we are professionals, we have yet another layer of responsibility to use the knowledge we have accumulated and synthesized about a particular place in a way that serves the good of our community. If we are leaders in the community, likewise, our task is to make decisions about what is best for the community as a whole and implement those decisions through legislation after weighing merits and drawbacks of certain scenarios. Therefore, the more we know about the physical and cultural geography of a place, the more informed our decisions will be. How do we use geography in our daily lives? With a solid understanding of geography, people are better able to decide where to live and work, how and where to travel, and how to assess the world in spatial terms. In a world where people are competing for territory, resources, markets, and economic positions, knowing too little about geography is a liability, which compromises the capacity of people to function successfully at home or abroad. Creating sustainable solutions to major world issues requires students to grow into knowledgeable and informed adults who make use of geographic knowledge, skills, technologies, and perspectives on a daily basis in everyday life to identify possible solutions, predict their consequences, and implement the best solutions. That is why it is imperative that all students in the United States achieve geographic literacy. This presentation was developed by Beth Larson, lecturer, School of Geographical Sciences and Urban Planning at Arizona State University.